So Charlene, you helped us curate this event. And when we were working together, you mentioned that, or you suggested that we split this up into three separate categories. And the first one that we came up with was to do the personal life of Teenie Harris. Can you speak on that a little bit more and maybe tell everybody why that was so important to break it up into categories and for that to be the first one?
I was very excited a few years ago to also organize and curate a show called Around the Clock. And it was based on the typical 24-hour day that Teenie would have had. Because I think the other thing is you have to remember that he's developing these photos as well. And so how did he shoot soup to nuts, photos around his neighborhood with his kids and interiors of his own home and his dog and, people in his neighborhood. And then he goes into the community work. He might have had an assignment he knew about the day before, so he stops off to handle that. It could be a meeting from the Urban League or NACP, but then he goes to the courier offices to pick up more assignments, and he might stop by his brother's shop, the Crystal Barber shop that he co-owned, and pick up information and learn about something that might be a great shot. But also while he's driving there, he might see a fire or some newsworthy or interesting photograph to him. And it could just be water running down the street or the mist of the rain. But he would take things all over the city, and then he'd go on more assignments, and then he'd go home at some point and have dinner. The kids said, they remember him being there at dinner. But then he was also at the society events in the evening or the political rallies or whatever else. And then he'd go to the nightclub scenes, to the Crawford Grill and the Bambula and places like that, and the Lewendai Club. And he'd shoot what was going on there and the great musicians who came out of Pittsburgh or came to Pittsburgh. And then he'd go home sometimes and develop some of these photos of especially the nightlife, and go back and sell some of them to make a few extra dollars in the clubs. Now, So when did he sleep?
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's one of those guys that didn't need a lot of sleep. He was high energy.
Must be nice, yeah.
Must be nice. But what impressed me was his children said, we were telling them, the various times we could see that he had shot these photos and whatnot, because we were comparing them to articles in the Pittsburgh Courier newspaper. And so they were saying, but I said, he just seemed like he was probably never home. They said, no, he came home and we had dinner and he played with us and all of this, but I just don't know how he did this all the time. And the other thing that's so amazing about Teenie is that some people seem jittery or nervous or, anxious, and he didn't seem like that. He seemed high energy, but he had time to, when I was little, he would play with me, and he'd show me how his camera worked or his tripod would work. He'd get down on one knee, and he treated children like people, not kids, So all the kids, all of us who were kids at the time that I've spoken to, we all have that same story of him kind of adjusting your collar and saying, I'm only going to take this one time, so don't move, But he made us part of the process. When he would come to take photos of my parents, my job was to tell all the other people that might be needed in the photo to, Teenie's here, So the kids all called him Teenie as well. But he just made you feel like he was part of your family and part of what was supposed to be going on. And so he didn't stand out or seem like, the room didn't change, I guess is the best way to put it, when Teenie came into it. He just captured it as it was.
And again, the display that Charlene and myself are referring to is an in-person display that you can see in downtown Pittsburgh at the City County Building. You can also follow us at PGH Events Office on Facebook and Twitter, where we'll be releasing content all month long, including videos and more interviews with Charlene, as well as photos from the Teenie Harris archives. And if you have any questions about the display, feel free to reach out at PGH Events Office. And we also encourage you to visit the Carnegie Museum of Art's Teenie Harris display entitled In Sharp Focus, where you get the other half of the story about the work that Teenie Harris did in the community. So Charlene, if anyone has questions about the Carnegie Museum of Art display, what's the best way to reach you?
You can always contact the museum and ask for the Teenie Harris office. That's where I'll be. My phone number is 412-622-1012 for my direct line. And I think we'll add my email so you can see it. It's a long one, so we'll write it out for you. But yeah, just contact the museum, and we're happy to work with you in any way we can.
All right, Charlene, thanks so much.
Thank you, Brandon.